Sustainability in the construction industry. Our guest for today is leading a company that aims to promote eco-friendly construction through innovative materials and products. Ria Canlas is the woman behind Polite Technology Incorporated.
The woman of today was a mere dream for a woman of yesterday. History has shown how difficult it is for a woman to cement her space in the realm of science. But today, we take the lead. We set the standards. We are in the front lines. We are women. We work to create a world where a woman can choose science as her journey, where technology is her uninterrupted road, and progress is her destination. We work to create a world where a woman in science is the norm, not the exception. A world where she is a constant educator, innovator, mentor, and leader. A world that is, and will continue to be, an inclusive and diverse global scientific community.
I am Dr. Maharlika. I am an engineer scientist, and I am a woman in science.
So from the concrete up, women in engineering, and I would like first to describe a lady engineer. So this masterpiece of a picture, I asked my friend to design this for me because this is how I describe a woman, simply because of the many hurdles that this woman is experiencing all throughout the journey. You know what a woman is, right? From the very beginning, you enter your STEM education that is male dominated, and then up to the point when you have to marry, bear your children, raise up your kids, and all the things that are around us are trying to put burden on us, but women has to remain victorious in spite of all those adversities that we have in our lives. So I would like to discuss some of the things that we believe about women. Like, for instance, they say that only 15% of the world's population are into engineering. And luckily, Philippines, the same with Malaysia and Thailand, have high women in technology and also high women in the workforce. And also, when people were asked if there is enough being done so that women get into technology, majority says no, and majority of those who believe that there's not enough, women are majority. But for those who believe that yes, there is enough being done, apparently it's the men who believe that enough is being done. So this is just a proof that men are in a way also biased when it comes to women. And 90% of men and women globally are unconsciously biased against women. In other words, we don't even realize that we have this kind of, we are looking down on women, okay? There are facts such as women comprise 50% of the world's population or even more, but only 1% of the women own the world's wealth. And in areas when we really wanted to attain gender equality in women's lives, then it has to be something that has to do with economic and political empowerment. And as of this moment, there is no country that has fully attained gender equality. And there are the naysays, no? Sabi nila, the world is double standard, and that is not favoring the women. Female is a weaker gender than male, especially for engineering, and female are more emotional. But on the other side, being emotional, women are more having empathy than men. And the women has the capability of making herself a sincere gift to others. The same way that we carry kids on our womb. It's called mulieris dignitatem, or the dignity of women. The stigma of having this double standard is generational. It started from our generation. It started how people older than us, how our parents are dealing with women, and how this kind of patriarchal practices have been what has been bring our teach to unconsciously from generation to generation. If we will not have awareness, this will continue on and on. In other words, this has to stop. And so we need empowered women to change the world and to change this practice. Now, women empowerment is about gender equality, and means equal opportunities for men and women, regardless of technology or industry. The actions and attitudes of men play a very important in achieving gender equality. In my case, I would like to dwell on my personal journey as a women technopreneur as a way for me to thrive as a woman in this men-dominated industry. Now, of course, all of you knows technopreneurship, and I don't want to discuss that in this discussion. But a women technopreneur is composed of that innovative women plus the technology. In besides, when we take note of the equation of 100%, only 30% is in the technology and 70% is in the person herself that is working on a particular technology. This is a very basic. This is a this is how funding institutions or investors would be used looking at women technopreneurs. They wanted to see this woman as a person next to the technology that woman is working on. Now, in other words, there is a need for women to make impact in male-dominated industry. Hindi tayo pwedeng magkaroon ng we cannot be taken away by the masculinity of men saying that we are more weaker. We need to have impact. We need to have social impact, because when we impact the male-dominated industry, in other words, we are solving societal problems. But you see, if you really wanted to make an impact in your life, the first thing that you're gonna do is to first think of your life's purpose. What it is it that you wanted to happen in your life? And then after that, do some business goals. Okay? Now, there's a bigger challenge, no? Of course, there's this so-called ageism process when everybody has the capability of being innovative. We wanted to innovate the way we do things or the way we perform in the class or in our job. But apparently, even women think that men are more creative than them. In other words, women are also discriminating themselves. So we have to erase that. And to do that, we have to consider us as a woman or as a person. We can be half a scientist and half an entrepreneur. Why am I dwelling on this journey? Because this journey happens to me. Now, in other words, we should stop the stigma of being generational, and going back, empowered women has to empower women. Now, I love concrete. Concrete for me is very fascinating. The magical story behind concrete, that it needs 28 days for it to attain its strength. It has the curing time, and how you need to do to preserve the workability of concrete. And that is why, in my experience as an engineer, I would really like that part where I do concrete pouring. Maybe some of you, if you have your on-the-job training, you would be having this experience now how to do concrete pouring. That's one of the things that don't need need not skip when you work. I like wet works. At the young age of 23, I already had my own construction company, and my focus was on wet works. What are wet works? Anything that has to do with concrete. So I do CHB laying, I do tile works. Now, all of these types of wet works, these are some of the projects that I did when I become my own boss. since I am exposed in the wet works, that's why my invention works in the industry that I play. I like wet works and I wanted to solve that the problems that I see in wet works. And that leads to me having that invention, and that invention is not just coming for something new. It is something that will have an impact on the world by simply solving some social issues regarding the construction industry. There are also some buzzwords when you wanted to innovate things around you. You can say prefab, modular, compact, lightweight, designed to build cost, time, quality, efficiencies, green, blue, and gray technologies, climate change, resiliency, sustainability, renewal, remote, shelter, business model, productivity, circular economy. And I put in red wordings all the buzzwords that I put all together to come up with my own technology. Now, on the other side, you might be asking, so is it women empowerment and become a technopreneur? What if we don't? What if we become an employee? Does not matter. An employee who is innovative is called an intrapreneur. And even if you are employed in a particular company, you still have to innovate and to make some contribution or impact to the company where you're working at. And the red ones these words are some of the things that are now a buzzword when it comes to concrete technology. I would like to describe in detail how I go into my technopreneurship journey, because for me, this is when the time that I know I am making impact in the industry. So it all started when we are a student and then we become an employee, and at some point in time, you wanted to know more, you wanted to do more in yourself. That's a big arrow going up, motivating you to do something else in your life. And at that time, as I've said, you can be a technopreneur, having your own business, or an entrepreneur, treating your own company where you are employed as if it's your own company. What actually happens next is that when you are so uplifted, there will come a time that there's a big force going down because things are becoming very challenging as you grow old and as you move forward. And some don't even get don't have the chance to overcome that big gravity pulling them down, putting all their dreams in the graveyard. But if you pursue and you find ways how to meet the challenges that you are facing, then expect to have the road more steeper until the time that you reach your star, meaning the road is becoming very challenging as you reach your star. Along the way, we need a combination of talents that are inborn to us or skills that we hone all throughout the time. Your degree, of course, matters. Your thesis capstone can be a good start to have your startup company, or your thesis is a good start to have your own technology. And then moving forward, you have your licenses and your certificates plus this wisdom. All of these are needed for you to jumpstart a technology or a startup company. Sometimes group of people meet each other and decide to, hey, let's work together and put up our own company, or let's work together and let's try to come up with our own technology. That's one process. The group first, the team building first, before you will ideate on a new technology. Or it could be the other way around. Example, somebody of you already have the idea in the mind and you wanted to develop a product, then you find your partners eventually. That's how I did it, okay? I first have my technology and then find partners. You need angels all throughout your road so that these angels will invest in you even if you don't have any proof that you are already successful. Angels are relatives and friends who will help you along your way, believing in you because of you as a person and not of your output. Then you need industry partners. You work with them so that you can improve your product. You can use their facilities because you have limited resources. You try to go forward by looking at government grants. You look for some grants because grants is not a loan. Grant is given to you so that you can use to further your research. Like me, I am a DOST grantee, so I had received a sum of money to improve my product further, and then go to a pilot project. Find a client that is willing to test your idea for the first time. You know, it's really very hard to have those pilot projects and have and convince them to use your product for the first time. So these are called also technology adapters who will be venturing on their pilot project. You need mentors. You need the senior ones to give you more wisdom. You actually need postgraduate or further licenses. Like in my case, I have to take all other licenses so that I will have more teeth or I will understand more my technology. I need my postgraduate so that I can analyze more data. I know how to do statistical analysis based on experimentations that I did. You need some recognition. Why? Because you wanted to have a proof that that however you see your technology to be very good, it's the same view as others. Thus, for me, I started joining competition so that I will really have a proof that my technology really is good in the point of view of other people. Then everything that we do because it's making an impact now becomes your advocacy. For me, I have this malasakit advocacy where everything that I did is about concern for others. When you use my product, it gives environmental impact and also livelihood, work, employment, etc. And thus now becomes my advocacy. In the future, you'd be needing bigger investor. You need global presence if you wanted to try your product out and in the other countries. You can be a unicorn. In the Philippines, it's called a unicorn, like a $1 billion valuated company. The first unicorn that was declared in the Philippines is actually in the construction and development. But apparently, this unicorn was proven not to be really a unicorn. In other words, there's no one else in the Philippines that's considered to be a real unicorn. So that gives us civil engineers or in the technology side to have this opportunity to become the first unicorn in the Philippines. All throughout, this will lead you into financial liberation, giving you into a philanthropic life and to a legacy. I also wanted to highlight that women are most likely to be funded. There are these initiatives in the Philippines and around the world that women has to be represented in any industry and that women CEOs or presidents are priority when it comes to funding. Why? Because they are considered to be part of the minority sector. Now, there are certain key ways on the things that happened to my life. Number one, I myself experienced gender gap, which I'll be discussing in a while and gives me some kind of a memory lane. Kasi sasabihin nyo, aren't you now experiencing any gender gap at this moment? Why you consider it only a memory lane? Because the biases are worst before during my time. And now as we move forward and have all those United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, things are improving. And there are many women now joining the engineering industry. Empowerment for me is a process of transform and engage. And I will be discussing to you in an overview that transform and engage. This transport engage concept that I documented based on my own personal journey. I see how myself has changed because of innovation and I documented them and I look forward in the future and I'm sharing this to a lot of people so that they can also do it in themselves. My polite journey is a life of empowerment and gender equality. And you can use science, technology, engineering, and creatives to empower yourself as a woman, just the same way that I did to myself. In short, design is a way to be empowered. Everything that we do around us in the technological innovation is so-called design. When you want to change the formula of concrete, you want to modify the concrete, it's called design. If you want to come up with a new architecture of a particular structure, it is also called design. So in other words, whether technical or the creative, design is a way to be empowered. No other way to be competitive but through innovation. Now, my branding as a woman, I started to be just a very simple woman. In other words, everybody of us here in this room are co-equal. We are all simple. We came from an ordinary family, and thus we have bigger opportunities. Hindi, you cannot say, no, or I'm simple and, I will remain just a simple lady in my entire life. Of course not. Because if you try to look at the opportunities around you, you might be surprised how big you could be in the future. You are lucky if you are not coming from an ordinary family. If you're coming from a rich family, tagapagmana ka na isang milyonaryo, billionaryo, then good for you. Because all you have to do is just continue the legacy that your family is doing. But majority of us came from the ordinary family. So what you're gonna do is to go beyond this women stigma. You wanted to shy away from the notion that women only do domesticated work. I remember my husband was also a civil engineer in the past, no, where I would took care of my kids in the morning and he would be sleeping very well while I am looking at my kids. And I told to my husband, hey, we both decided to have these kids and there's no excuse. Both of us has to do this domesticated work. At a certain point in time, we want to be called one of the boys. That's how engineers, no? So when we say one of the boys, we are dictated upon by the things like, how do we dress? Am I supposed to dress sexy when I on the job site? No, I have that predicament when I was young. When my boss saw what I'm wearing, example, you just wear a simple shirt that fits your body, and your boss will say, Ria, please stop wearing those kind of shirts because the laborers or the construction workers might not be able to concentrate on their work. But when I asked my mom, is my shirt okay? Then she would say, yes, it's okay. So I can see the difference between how men and women view the way we dress. But of course, we wanted to dress in such a way that we express ourselves, and people don't have to disrespect us because of how the way we dress, how the way we talk. In the job site, you go inside in the job site and try to speak English in the construction workers. Could that be possible? They may not be they may not understand you at all. So all you have to do is to learn the way they talk. Kaya, and when I was younger, I really one of the boys because I speak the language directly. I cannot speak in English in front of my workers. So I have to speak their language. That's why I'm one of the boys. How do we handle bullying? There are a lot of bullying and advances from the men in the construction industry, and that's true. I attended a women seminar last March, and they're talking about equality and women in terms of telling the companies to have equal number of men and women in the job site. And I told them that's not the real problem. The real problem are the advances and the bullying that these men are doing to women. In other words, you have to empower yourself so that you not be allow all these men do this to yourself. Hindi ka pwedeng very fragile. Hindi ka pwedeng natatakot lang basta. You have to take note that you are empowered and there's a better way to address these men doing advances to you. Huwag ka magpapakita ng takot. Co-equal tayo, pantay tayo. And so you have to attack the situation in such a way that people making advances to you will really be doing will be treating you properly. And men's world is very different. At some point in time, I was told, Naria, you know, you're a woman and it would be very, very hard for you. And that gave me the very first step to be an entrepreneur. That's why I told you at the age of 23, I already have my own construction company. Because of that notion that was instilled to me by people around me. The side is very different because, you know, men will say that you don't know how to do this job. So what I'm gonna do, guys, before I go to the job site, I have to do my research. I have to ask my mentors, and my mentors, that time my mentor is my grandfather. So I have to ask my grandfather, what will I do the next day? Because this is our Gantt chart. We have this activity. I have to ask my grandfather how to do this job so that tomorrow I will not be asking the men in the site. I will ordering the laborers or the skilled workers, the construction workers to do the job. I do my homework. And I diversify as an entrepreneur and do not confine myself in a single profession. You have to explore. There might be something else that's good for you. And me, being in research and innovation, it's really something that I considered serendipity because this is where I found how to be impactful in the construction industry. I met hard bosses, harsh environment, but of course, as a woman, you know when to say no and when to rise. Leadership is very important because when you go on the job site, you handle men, you have your workers under you, and thus you have to practice this leadership trait, which could start here in college. Volunteering is also one of the things that amaze and empower a woman. Do not be afraid of saying, me, I can do it. Me, I am volunteering, even if you are not being paid to do so. But as women, remember that we are also human and that we also have our dark ages. So therefore, learn from those dark ages. Example, you fall in love with the wrong man. Example, you've been too busy doing all of this partying outside. You know, there are always dark ages. But as you move forward, you're just gonna laugh at your dark ages. Kaya kailangan lang yung dark ages na yon ay mapagtagumpayan mo. Okay? I am a passionista. I do passion in such a way that I make use of my resources properly. I won't be using my money buying luxury bags or anything luxurious. I would first invest my money on my experimentation. For your information, it took me more than 10 years to do my experimentation on polite. That's why I have to do bootstrapping or have to spend my money. If I want to do a difference, if you want to do a difference, spend your money, invest on experimenting so that at least no, you don't have the what ifs in your life. Baka pagtandaan mo, what if ginawa ko to? So wag kang matatakot. Spend your money. It's one of the wisest investment that you're gonna do in this earth. And I remember my professor back then when he gave us these 9 words. And these 9 magical words, sabi niya, always bring that in your pocket. And this is, I am a bit better than the other fellow. You can never say, oh, we're equal. No, I have to be a bit better than you. And in this kind of thinking, you would be dwelling into a so-called lifelong learning. You will try to wear so many hats, you will try to explore so many things, you will learn so many things, no? Hahanap ka ng way, ay gusto ko mag-exam, gusto ko mag-aral, to make you a bit better. No, halimbawa ako, hahanap ako na isang civil engineer who practically wear the same hat as I have, I can see somebody who is equal because I try to diverse myself. And as I've said, research and innovation help me to level up. Gusto mo mag-level up? Innovation is the way. Then the rest is history. You'll have your advocacy, the story of your life, and your legacy. And as a feminine genius, This is about the give to others, give time to people. Kahit estudyante ka lang, you can mentor the lower batches. This earns you points, no? Kaya ano sinasabi ko sa mga estudyante ko, guys, what's the best way to pass the board exam? Is simply doing good. Just do good and automatically you earn points and you'll pass the board exam. That's it. Always do good. Sana mag-count ka lang, gumawa ka lang ng one good per day. That will be enough for you. Okay? Transform and engage is a concept of time. From present to future, how do you see your future? Your future should be not the same as you are right now. Kaya yung concept of movement, mula dito papunta doon. The concept of progress, the old me and the new me. A concept of degree, my low and my high. Or my concept of empathy, from this to that. There should always be a movement. There should always be a progression that you see in yourself. Kasi sabi ni Lee Kuan Yew, if you are the same person as you are last year, then what you do yourself a favor. Go to the nearest grocery, buy the hardest tofu and smash it in your face. No one should stay on the same situation on a period of time. You should always be looking back at your old self because you are now new. And this is a very simple transform and engage. Gawin mo muna at saka mo pagpatuloy. Transform, engage. So how do we do that? So everybody, I would suggest number one is to format your life. You do a vision board, you draw it. This is what I wanted to happen. I remember my professor in engineering management, our midterm exam is when is our plan to graduate? And on that time I realized, oh, I have to take these subjects pala ahead of time. Oh, I have to focus pala on this subject because if I fail on this subject, I will not graduate 2 years or 3 years from now. In other words, you do formatting. What do I want to happen? So you draw it, you write it. The moment that you can write, it is not doable. And then at some point in time, there's a need to reformat and you have to mutate, you have to be a better person. There's nothing wrong reformatting. As long as you know, meron na palang mga hindi applicable at this present, or I have to change. And when you do that, you commit and you bind. Gusto mo magkaroon ng vow, o gusto mo magsulat, or however you commit, no? I remember before when I was the first, when I put up my own company, I don't have money. You know what I did? I borrow money from my grandfather. And you know what my grandfather did? We did a contract that I will pay this sum of money in a period of time and I have to sign it. And that's my grandfather because I have to commit. If a contract will make me commit, then do so. I'll do it. At some point in time, you have to see if you are working, moving, and at least attaining some of the formatting that you in your life, then that's the time you have to level up and upgrade. Specialize. Take special courses. Take your masters. Have your doctors. If you specialize, that's the way you become co-equal with the men. Then after that, you catalyze and evolve, meaning you have to make things a catalyst. Pabilisin mo ng konti. You have to evolve, no? So kumuha ka ng mga measures and control and ways of validation that you are already fast-tracking everything. Once you're done with that, you're already ready to influence and make an impact. So this, in myself, I think I'm already in this level. I do collaborate. When we say collaborate, nagipag-collaborate ako sa ka-level ko. When I say contribute, I collaborate with the people lower than me in level because I contribute to them. And then I network. I grow my network because network is a goal. I remember my boss telling me, Ria, your evening should be used for networking. In the evening, you can meet more clients, you can meet more network, and you'll be needing them in the future. So in other words, when I was a very young engineer, I'm a newly graduate, I make it the point that I have a networking activity at least once a week. So I learn and meet new people and give me new insights. The sixth is very hard. And when you do this, I think you're already on the part of having a legacy. This is transcend and surpass. It's already transcending beyond. It's something that is not just about you, but it goes to your kin, to your heirs, to your children, to your children's children. This is already monopolizing a technology or monopolizing a specialization that you're already relinquish it to the lower generation or to your younger generation. I've been telling a lot of people that what's the use of working hard when there's no children or no anyone to continue what you have started. As I've said, generational patriarchal. You have to change its way and they have to leave your children something new. And a children or an heir should be willing to adapt or to continue on what you're doing. And so you put your rulings in your family and you catalog everything. You know why? Because in my case, my technology is protected under trade secret protocol. In other words, I control the number of people who knows my formula on my technology. So in other words, I have to write trade secret protocol, have to tell my kids, oh, this is how we're going to do it and that. Because if somebody steals this formula, then you're losing what's supposed to belong to you, right? So that's the way how we do it. So in the middle of it, I have this Eco Couture, which is my logo, and I have this spirituality of work because I know the more I work, the more I pray. And I believe in the dignity of women. That's why women really changes the world. Now, these are some of the things that I am engaging. I don't stop. No, I don't just focus on one thing because I wanted to be more balanced and I wanted to achieve more in my life. So some of the examples that I'm doing right now, no, I have provided this www.ASEANEmergingIndustries.com, a portal where students, businessmen, inventors can use to do the review of literature. If you want to do business search, if you want to do research, etc., then I provided a system to aid future innovators or future businessmen. And I'm also into a lot of product development. So once you know how to improve a product, then automatically things are becoming easy to you. And you know, civil engineers are really very adaptable, not just to the construction industry. You are adjusted and you can easily adapt to any kind of business. So this, I am helping the indigenous people of Morong, Bataan, and I'm working with Mapua students and chemical engineers to develop products to include further construction materials using agri-based products. And this is something very new, guys. Because we have the Republic Act 11290, or called the Philippine Innovation Act. The Philippine Innovation Act mandates the creation of the National Innovation Council. And last February, 6 new executive members were okayed by the President of the Philippines, and I am one of them. And I'm gladly be representing the scientific community, that includes students and engineers and entrepreneurs. So in other words, there's a law that aims to support the kind of technological advances that our engineers would want to pursue on. And I think this is a good and an advantage to every one of you, that if you wanted to dwell on innovation in the coming future, then you know that there's this government composed of the President of the Philippines and the NEDA, and of course 16 department secretaries, and we 7 executive members from the private sector to help you out. This is one of the ways where we cannot waste our ideas. Yung mga ginagawa nyo sa capsule, dapat hindi natatapon yan. Dapat dumarating yan at nakakarating sa mga target adopters ng mga technology nyo. And I have this slide because I wanted to be reminded of one of my plans in the coming future. That is empowering women through my technology. I'd be training women, and I'd like to see women doing construction works. Because I've been, have you seen women construction work? Yes, there are. In my time, there are. But now I want to work with some TESDA accredited technical centers, training centers, to train more women to be part of the construction workforce, not just engineers, but also as construction workers. All right, so this ends my presentation. And if any one of you wanted to be a future inventor or innovator, you can join My team, researchers, innovators, scientists, and engineers of the Philippines, or RISE, I will be roaming or going in the whole Philippines, cascading the Philippine Innovation Act at the same time, asking students to join us so that we will expose you in different types of innovation technology strategies. So you have here my contact details. You can directly contact me. And Jesus said, "Behold, I make all things new." So let us all have a collective effort to have real change, and we use design thinking in nurturing the earth. If we are just face to face, I'll be distributing sana these magnets or these bookmarks that I have, but you just tell me, I'll gonna ask or deliver some bookmarks to you guys so that your officers can distribute it to you. And you always remember innovation. And please subscribe to my channel. So that's it. Thank you so much for listening.